Welcome everyone. My name is Todd and I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga. Hope you're having a good day so far. This is a time when we do Asana Spotlight, which is focus on the technical instructions for a particular asana. And before we dive into that, I wanted to just tell you guys that I have a month of classes that just started yesterday. It's my January class menu, and the focus is really how to open to the bigger energy. And this is such a time for the need for self-care, and yoga is one of those things that really nourishes body, mind, and heart. So I want to encourage you to sign up for the January class. And what's great about it is that if you register for the all-inclusive, you get unlimited access to all the videos. There are 27 classes, and you get a bonus 2.5-hour Ashaya Yoga Immersion workshop. So it's a great deal, and the cost is really low. It comes to just a little bit over $4 a class. So I hope you'll join me. This is sort of my wish to have more people find that place of inner calm and inner peace, and especially during everything that's going on in life right now. Yoga is really a great way to care for yourself. In addition, we have the Ashaya Anatomy Immersion that's going on now. This is especially great for teachers and body workers and healers of all different types. And this is taught by two expert anatomists, and Ellen Saltonstall and Randy Boyd. And they've already started. They've done a few of their classes already, but you can get the recordings. And their 15-hour weekend immersion is coming up in just a couple of weeks. So you can check this all out at ashayayoga.com. In addition, I have recently published a book, and this is called Tantra Yoga, Journey to Unbreakable, Wholeness, and it is a memoir. And within it, of course, it has the journey that I've been on, which I feel like is the path of the heart, journey of how to follow your heart against the greatest odds. So there's lots of amazing detail in here, but I also document the tantric philosophy. And one of the great things about this book is I've been able to take the deep esoteric tantric teachings that are the teachings that underlie Ashaya Yoga and put them into sort of a narrative through the events of my life. And it was co-written by Mary McLaughlin, who is a student of mine and also a wonderful playwright and author, and she was able to really be able to communicate in a way that really goes deep into the heart. So I have had lots of great comments on this book, and I just want to get this out so you know there's an amazing resource. So this is available on my website and also on Amazon.com. So let's dive in. Our spotlight pose today is Pashimotanasana. Pashimotanasana. And Pashimotanasana is a forward bend. Pashimo means western, and it is a full forward bend, a seated forward bend. And it's called western stretch or posterior stretch because it was an ancient tradition in India to do yoga in the morning facing the rising sun. So they would do sun salutation where they face the sun. So the front of their body is the eastern side, and then the back of the body is the western side. Now, one of the great things about this pose is that it opens up your hamstrings and your calf muscles and your hips. And if you do a lot of exercise like I do, or a lot of sitting, I do both, or if you're a big walker or a runner, that hamstrings and hips get really tight, and they can really be bothersome for the low back. So, if you have low back pain, first thing to do is get your hamstrings and hips to open up. So it's also because the body is folding in on itself. It's a very calming, soothing, it's like you take a deeper dive inside kind of a pose. And so it calms the nervous system. So it's really great if you have high anxiety, just do this pose and you'll be more calm. And it's a way to care for yourself, like to really go deep within. And you'll be, your head faces down towards your body, so you're actually looking within. Now, some of the precautions of this pose is, yes, if you have really tight hips and hamstrings, then you have to be extra careful of the discs in your lower back. So in the lower back, which is the lumbar, there's these spongy discs in between the vertebrae. There's bones, and in between all the bones are these cushions. And for a lot of people, those cushions are already protruding towards the back where the nerve roots are. So by folding forward, it's called a posterior fold, or spinal flexion is what it's called. Like, you talk to any medical doctors or physical therapists or chiropractors, they'll say, "Oh, spinal flexion is so bad." Well, it is. It can be problematic if you're not actively doing the pose. And by active, I mean you have to learn how to keep the back bend in the forward bend, and I'll talk more about that. But actually, it's very nourishing for the discs of the spine when you can get a very seamless, gradual curve with an equal rate of change between each of the vertebrae. So it's like a smooth bridge curve, rather than jagged or bumpy where the vertebrae are sticking way out in an unhealthy way. So we want to pull the vertebrae, we want to pull the disc inward. It's called centralization, even as you're going into the forward fold. And I'll show you how to do that. So therapeutically, there's a few things you have to be aware of. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with a belt and also a block, so that it's a little bit easier. And for some of my students who have had slip discs in their low back or back surgery, I do not allow them to come further than 90 degrees. So if you can get your spine just straight up 90 degrees and keep the curve, then that's where you're going to work today. Otherwise, if your back is healthy, there's not bulging discs, when you do these actions, the flexion actually tones and strengthens the spine. What we're going to do is kind of draw on the front muscles of the body to pull back toward the spine and support the spine on the front side, so that there's not so much pressure between the discs. Right? You'll see. But to begin, we need to get a little bit warmed up. So please join me in a standing position at your mat. So come to the front of your mat, stand with your feet hip distance apart. If you know you can't touch the floor when you bend over, then grab yourself a block and put it down in front. Hands to hips, take your thighs back, tailbone in, lift and spread your toes, stretch your arms up, reach, hold for a moment and really stretch out. From your pelvis, just push through your feet, and from your pelvis, rise up through your heart, your arms, your head, and your fingers. So we just get a stretch here. And then please deepen your breath. This is one of the best warm-ups you could do, which is the mountain pose with arms up overhead. Move your thigh bones back a bit more. Generate a low back curve. So let's exaggerate that. So it's like, okay, just stick your butt out. There you go. You can see how much curve I've got. And then keeping the curve, lengthen it as you pull your tailbone down. You can see the curve lengthens a bit. Pull your belly in, take your ribs in, armpits back, and then just look up and breathe. Look at your fingers, make sure they're active, and you can't see them here, but mine are active, and enjoy that you're alive. And then exhale, sweep your arms out to the side, bend from your hips. You're going to lead with your heart, keep your legs charged, and then touch the floor, touch the block. If you're on the floor, come up into what I call eagle talons, like this. So this is essentially the pose we're going to be doing, but sitting on the floor. So this is a great warm-up.
Do engage your leg. Just hug in with more self-care. When your muscles hug, it relaxes the nervous system because it sends a signal of safety in the joints to the brain. So lift and spread your toes, hug your legs to the middle, move your thighs back, and bow. And breathe, go within. Pull down through your tailbones, through your sitting bones, all the way down to your heels. And you should feel pretty big stretch in your hips, also in your hamstrings. And then maintain the engagement of your legs and inhale, lift your heart halfway forward, and then exhale, bow. When you care for yourself, you'll be more loving to all those around you. Inhale, heart forward. But we all know when you feel miserable inside, you spread misery everywhere. People won't want to be around you. So with self-care, lift your heart, hug your legs, and then exhale. Bow, go inside. Do a few more of these, go at your own pace. In yoga, we understand that inner peace is within. The calm we search for is within. And so this is a really great time to just bow and honor that the light you seek is already inside of you. The peace you seek is already inside of you. Go in and get some. Root down through your feet, lift your heart, and then exhale. Left leg back and lunge. Bring your left knee down to the floor. Scissor your legs toward the middle. This is really good for the hips. Walk your hands out to the left and just bend your elbows. If you can go all the way down to the floor, do. Where your forearms are on the floor. Hug your legs. Curl your back toes under and just stick your butt out to the right. Widen your right hip. Pull your tailbone in. And breathe. Inhale, come on up. Walk your hands back now. Right leg straight, root the heel, drag isometrically back. Another good time to use your blocks. If you're not able to, touch the floor, 2 blocks is probably better. Pull back isometrically on your heel. It's going to tone all the muscles. When your muscles tone, they're going to stretch better. It's called eccentric contraction. And it's the safest way to stretch. You create warmth and heat, better flow of the blood when you hug muscles to bones, and it supports the joints. And then isometrically drag back, and you'll get your hamstring to stretch. Pull down through your tail and bow. Exhale, bend the right knee, step forward with the left, Uttanasana, heart forward. And then exhale, right leg back, same thing. Right knee down to the floor. Pause and breathe. Take note of the stretch. What you feel, you can heal. So don't ignore the tension there. You want to actually move toward it. So hug your muscles, engage, and move toward the tension. A lot of times if you have like a little pain, in the hip or low back, as soon as you engage your muscles, it goes away. Awesome. Walk your hands around to the right. Come on down to your forearms. Hug your legs and then stick your left hip way out to the left. Pull down through your tailbone. Melt the back of the heart toward the floor. And breathe. Inhale, come back to center. We're going to go back into downward dog pose. It's another really good warm-up. So alternately press one heel down, bend opposite knee, go back and forth. And stretch through the calves and your Achilles tendon. That's right near the back of the ankle, lower part of the calf. And of course hamstrings and hips. Now bend both knees. Here's the test. Can you create a low back curve in downward dog? Well, if you bend your knees, that'll take the hamstrings out of the equation. Widen the knees a bit. Turn your thighs in and lift your sitting bones way up. you should see a hint of a curve. And then pull your tailbone in just a bit, pull your ribs in. And then keeping the curve, start to press the base of your shins toward the floor. Base of the shins. Don't worry about the heels. Take the base of your shins back. Heels will remain up probably. Just so you can keep the curve. So this low back curve is exactly what you're going to need, and this is how it's going to feel in Paschimottanasana. But it's a little bit easier in downward dog pose. You have much more access in downward dog. Once your hips are on the floor, legs are stretched out on the floor, we have limited access, which is what makes the pose so challenging. Now lift your armpits up, but melt the upper back toward the floor. Armpits to the sky, heart to the earth. And breathe, and then stretch long from your heart through your hands and heart to heels. Great. Exhale. Right foot to the left of center between your hands. Right foot to the left of center. And bring your right knee out to the side. So a wide angle variation pigeon pose. Bring your left knee down to the floor, and then left hand in the sole of the right foot, and just push your foot into your hand. And you should feel the sensation in your right hip. And the more you push, the right hip widens out to the side. Left toes are curled under, and widen your left thigh to the left, right hip to the right. Okay, but squeeze your back shin toward the middle. Draw your tailbone in and bow. Each breath, go inward. Increase self-care. You wonder, like, how is this caring for myself? My hip hurts like hell. Well, back off a little bit if it's too much. But basically, when you can go to the edge of the toleration of discomfort in your body and do the actions, the pain you experience there, if it hurts, it should hurt good. If it's too much pain, you got to back off. But that sensation, we won't even call it pain, let's just call it sensation. It's a little more emotionally neutral. That sensation is what actually opens up the hips. That's the result of doing good actions that opens. And you guys all know, like in yoga, we just get used to the discomfort, because that's really part of the path. The path of the heart is always walking down the path with a pebble in one shoe. And we come to actually enjoy. So we see, when is a discomfort really a comfort? And hopefully we'll be able to know, when is a comfort really a discomfort. Okay, enough. Come back into downward dog pose. And side two. Left foot to the right of center. Right knee down all the way. And then lower your left knee. Turn your torso a little bit over toward the right and widen your left hip to the left more. Okay, and then square to the front. Right hand and sole of left foot. Push foot to hand, hand to foot. Push. Squeeze your legs toward the middle. So you scissor left to right, right to left, front to back, back to front. And then as you push your foot, widen your left hip left and right thigh to the right. And there's a lot going on. But that's what we need, because we use our hips and legs so much. It's probably why they're so tight all the time, and we never really do the proper stretch. So this is a really, really good stretch. And I'd say the warm-up, getting to Pashimottanasana, is a workout in and of itself. But you can't really go into the forward bend pose, Western stretch pose, on a cold body. So this is like the minimum amount of warm-up I would do to come into Pashimottanasana. Okay, well done. Go back to downward dog. Generate the low back curve one more time, and then come down to your knees.
Okay, find a belt and a block. And you may need a blanket. So one of the things is, if you just sit in Dandasana, that's where the legs are stretched out, and sit up as tall as you can without doing any rolling of the thighs, and then feel your low back. If your vertebrae in the low back area stick out right in the middle, then that's a sign that you're having too much spinal flexion just to start, and it would be helpful if you were to sit up on one or two blankets. So you get the folded blankets here, hop up on the front third of the blanket, don't go all the way back like this. You just need enough to tip the pelvis up. Then stretch your legs out. Feet are maybe a couple inches apart. All right, now feel your back, and you'll feel a little trench. And so that's what you want. So I'm going to encourage you to use blankets. The next thing is put the belt around just below the ball mounds of the feet. You're going to hold this way, wrap the belt around your hands, and flex your feet, spread your toes. Fifth toe is the earth toe. And so we go here, and if you pull on the belt, you can actually pull the low back in. It's almost automatic. So you've got the blankets and the belt, and if you don't need all those props, then you don't need them. So the first thing we're going to do to help get the low back curve is inner rotate the thighs. So take one leg and you're going to turn it inwardly, then do the other one, and do it again, but this time one hand comes almost under the sitting bone and widen that out. Turn your inner thigh in and widen it as you pull the sitting bone out. So the thigh and pelvis turn together. Then eagle talons behind, and see if you can get your low back to really pull in. First step. Next, you take a block, put it, lengthwise this way, right in between the upper inner thighs. I want you to just squeeze that. So that's going to keep your legs engaged. Then get the belt around your feet. There we go. Okay, so find your breath, open to the bigger energy. With self-care, squeeze the block, hug in. Peace is inside. Stick your butt back behind you. It's hard because we're already sitting on it, but we did rotate the thighs in already, which is great. Feel your low back. Make sure you have a little trench there. And breathe. Hold the belt. Lift your chest, shoulders back. From your pelvis now, root down into the earth and out through your heels. So I want you to grow your legs long, and from your pelvis, lengthen up through your spine. Side ribs are long, head of the arm bones back, and I'd like you to attempt to do a back bend in the forward bend. So go just a few inches forward and maintain the low back curve. Shoulders stay back, head stays back. For those with lower back issues, your job is just going to stay completely upright. And when you get tired, then you just come out of it. But keeping the low back curve here is a really good practice to strengthen the muscles all around the spine. Okay, if you're not going to use a belt, then eagle talons here. We want to avoid this because this adds additional flexion on the spine. It's weight that's not necessary. And it's often too much for the discs. So hands, either hold the belt or hands by your side. Inhale, rise. Exhale, back bend as you go forward. Walk your hands a little bit forward or choke up on the belt. Again,
stick your butt way back, low back in, armpits back, go forward. Check your feet. Don't let your feet sickle. So push through the big toe ball mounds of your feet. Big toe ball mounds. Okay. Put your hands on your outer shins and hug the shins in. Widen your sitting bones apart. Squeeze the block. Eagle talons. Now, lengthen your side ribs. Every part of your peripheral sides of your body should go to the west, to the back body. The central line of your spine should go to the east. So what that means is you take your shoulders back, armpits back, ribs back, side of the ribs back. Outer hip creases go back this way. Pull your tailbone in. And then lengthen your spine and try to melt the center of the heart, and the whole central line of the spine descends. Eventually, your back is going to start to round, and that's spinal flexion, and it's good. Pull your navel in, pull your ribs in. That gives more tone and supports the spine from the front. Check your feet. Don't let your feet turn out. And then for those who have a little bit more capacity in the pose, you're going to hold the little toe edges of your feet and then pull your heart towards your feet. And you maintain a rounded spine with an even rate of change between each vertebra. And how you get that is move the peripheral parts of your body back. Waistlines, side ribs, armpits, even sides of the throat. The ears go back. And then focus now on the central line, the central channel of your spine. That is what we know as the Sushumna. And allow that to melt forward. It kind of sears its way through the tissues of the body. Bring your chin in just a little bit and go inward. Root the sitting bones down and extend through your heels and extend through the spine. And for those who can keep going, your belly is going to touch the block. Your head will eventually get buried or come very close between the shins. Continue to pull the little toe edges of your feet back, but push the big toe ball mound and the whole inner edge of the feet. So you see, we're not just ragdoll Pashimotanasana. We are completely active. I'm almost sweating. But at the same time, breathe and relax. And with the spine in this position, we are activating parasympathetic nervous system, which is your relaxation response, and an access to the prefrontal cortex, which is the evolutionary part of your brain, the witness part. And in that space of the witness, you're able to observe emotions, reactions, stresses in life, and not get wrapped up in them. And what can often happen is whatever is challenging or whatever stresses you're having are covered with light and surrounded by this deep state of inner calm and inner peace. So a couple more breaths now and just go within. As long as there's no pain in your back, continue to lengthen, heart towards the feet, pelvis toward the heels. Take some deep breaths now, just a few more breaths. To come up, root down through your heels. Root your hips. Come up slowly. Walk your hands back. Take your shoulders back. Come back into a low back curve as soon as you can. Here's the back bend and the forward bend. Yeah, come all the way up. Remove the block. Now, just a little counter stretch. If you put your hands back, we'll go into Purvo Tanasana, which is the Eastern stretch. Fingers point toward the hips. Lift your hips, pull your tailbone in. Begin to push your toes toward the floor. Hug your shoulder blades onto the back ribs, hips up. Lift your chest. Let your head release back. And just hold for a few seconds or whatever's comfortable for you. No need to strain. And then exhale, bring your hips down. Sit in easy cross-legged position. And twist to the right. Take your right hand behind you, left hand on the right knee. Inhale, rise. Exhale, twist. Shoulders back, head back. Inhale to center, and then exhale to your left. Inhale, rise, and exhale, twist. Again, inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, twist. Come back to center. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and just take note of the quietness of the body, quietness of the mind. This is one of the benefits of Pashimotanasana, that it centers you inside in the place where inner peace abounds and where self-care expands. Enjoy this moment of peace, and may you bring that out into your day. Let's take a deep breath and chant Om. From a place of self-care, gently bow to your own heart. Namaste. Thank you very much. If you know anyone that has tight hamstrings, hips, or low back, tightness, if they have low back disc, probably don't show them this video, but it can be very beneficial. But please share it with people that you think will benefit from it. And if someone has just like a little bit of low back pain, if they do the first part where they just sit up on a blanket with the belt, with the block, and they try to get their spine perpendicular to get the low back in, that is a very good therapeutic for those with issues. Of course, you always want to check with your medical care provider before you take on any kind of exercise routine. But do enjoy it and have a great rest of your day. Peace.